Procedures in making contact print step by step. Number 1. Position the enlarger. Close the slot where the negative carrier is inserted in the enlarger head, so that light will shine only on the baseboard and is not coming out of the slot. This is particularly important in a school's group darkroom because stray light can fog other people's prints. Switch on the enlarger lamp. Place the printing frame on the enlarger baseboard. Raise the enlarger head until the light covers the entire printing frame. Number 2. Set the lens aperture and the enlarger timer. As a trial exposure, set the enlarger lens aperture to f11 and the timer to 3 seconds. Do a test strip using 3 seconds interval. Number 3. Identify the emulsion sides of the negatives and papers. The emulsion sides of the negatives must face the emulsion side of the paper. Film tends to curl towards its emulsion side, which is duller than the back side. The emulsion side of the paper is shinier and with glossy papers, smoother than the back side. Number 4. Insert the negatives and one sheet of the paper in the printing frame. The paper goes on the bottom, emulsion side up. The negatives go above the paper, emulsion side down. The glass top of the frame sandwiches the negatives and the paper together tightly. If you don't have a printing frame, you can simply put the papers on the larger baseboard, the negatives on top of it, and the plain sheet of a glass overall. 5. Number 5. Expose and process the print. With the printing frame in the place under the enlarger head, push the timer button to the turn enlarger light on and expose the print. Process the paper. After fixing, evaluate the print. Number 6. Evaluate the print. Some of the frames will be lighter, other darker, depending on the exposure each received in the camera. The judgment print exposure overall examine the film edges in the print. They should be black, but with the edge numbers legible and with 35 mm with film. A very slight difference between the edges and the darker sprocket holes. Making a photo enlarger step by step. Number 1. Prepare your equipments. Number 2. Mixing your chemicals. Follow the instruction written on the packaging. The temperature of the solution must be 20 Celsius. 1 or 2 degrees difference can fit without making a mess. In my case, mix 1 plus 9. If you need a 1 liter of composition, you put 100 ml of acid and 900 ml of water. Do the same thing for the fixer. 1 plus 4, 200 ml of fixer and 800 ml of water. If you use small papers, half a liter of composition may be enough. Place 3 bowls in order development stop fixed. Fill the bowls with their solution. To stop, I just use water, but you could use citric acid. Number 3. Place the negative in the enlarger head. Remember that the image will be projected upside down, so the negative is put reversed. Number 4. Focus the projected image. Place a sheet of paper of the same size of the final printing sheet on the surface of the enlarger. Turn on the enlarger and adjust the height so that the projected image covering the whole area of the sheet. Using the knob near the head of the enlarger, try to focus the image. If you have one, use the focus scope to focus on the film grain. You only need to put the instrument on the projection plane at the center and examine the image. Number 5. Set the aperture and insert the multigrade filter. Close the aperture to f8 to increase the detail. Insert in the filter holder of the enlarger head a multigrade filters N2. This filter produces a good range of print tones with an average negative. Number 6. Exposing a test print. Turn off the light. Turn on the red safety light lamp. You have to sacrifice a sheet of photo paper for testing exposure. Extract one sheet, always in the dark or red light. and cut a strip of sufficient size to cover an area of the image that has the relevant details to find the correct exposure. Place the paper strip with the sensitive part upwards on the projection plane. Turn on the projector light for 2 seconds using the timer connected, exposing the entire strip. Covered with a matte card 1/5 of the paper and expose the rest of another 2 seconds. Cover 2/5 exposure for 4 seconds. Cover 3/5 expose for 8 seconds. Cover 4/5 expose for 12 seconds. Number 7. Developing the test print. Always with the red light on. Dip the test strip into the development bath. Start the timer for 60 seconds. Shake the basin gently to ensure that the solution covers the entire image. After 60 seconds, remove rapidly the strip from the development and dip it into the stopping bath for about 30 seconds while stirring. Last step, dip the strip into the fixed bath for another 30 seconds. At the end, you put the paper in another tray with a good flow of water to wash for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, examine the test you just did. You can turn on the lights now. The paper will present 5 strips with different exposure. Numbers 8. Making the final print. When you find the correct exposure time, put a new sheet of photographic paper under the enlarger and expose. Repeat steps 6 to develop the final print. Number 9. Contrast correction. If you think that your photo is not well balanced in contrast, you have to act on contrast filters to put in the enlarger. If your prints look too gray and lacks either solid black shadow or clean white highlight, or both, try putting multi-grade filter 3 or higher. At this point, repeat steps 5 to make another test. Instead, if you have too much contrast, put a multi-grade filter 1. That's it. Try it and enjoy.